Okay, welcome to the program, Miss Melissa, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Morning, sir.
Okay, walang sir. Bawal ang
Good
sir
morning,
dito.
Tito. Morning,
Okay.
Tito. There you
Yeah,
go.
thank you. Now, I just allow me to get straight to the point that you have this program at PLDT. Why is PLDT Smart very concerned about this online sexual abuse and production of video materials or actually live presentation and trafficking of children?
That's correct. So you heard the statistic. There's like 500,000 children who are trafficked online, and unfortunately sometimes it's the parents or relatives who are doing that. Basically, under the maybe misconception that if there's no touch, there's no harm. But really, these are kids, some as young as infants, right, that are being peddled online. So PLDT, we provide an internet service, and we feel that while we open the world to a lot of possibilities, we're also a responsible broadband provider. So we feel that we have to make our customers safe online, whether it's cybersecurity or data privacy. And within our customer base, we have to make sure that the kids are protected because they're the most vulnerable among the age groups. But they have no idea of what's harmful or not. So we have basically taken on the responsibility of making sure that the usage of our service is safe, particularly for children.
Okay, I know that PLDT and Smart have cooperated with authorities because now it's not something I write or talk about, but some of my friends are very involved in this anti-child pornography and trafficking of children online. But just for the sake of our viewers, how does PLDT and Smart conduct their vigilance? What do you do to combat this? What technologies are used?
So we actually have a custom-built cybersecurity protection platform that we use to detect suspicious URLs or effectively internet addresses. And the way we do that is when we look at the addresses, we bash that against a list of blacklisted URLs. And obviously this problem is worldwide, right? It doesn't just sit in the Philippines. The Philippines might be the source of the content, but the demand comes from outside the Philippines. So we can't do it alone. I guess in all things, if you want to make a difference, you have to be partners with people. So we've partnered with many entities. UNICEF is one of them. The International Justice Mission is one of them. We've also effectively accessed the database of the Internet Watch Foundation and the Canadian Center for Child Protection. What these entities do is they provide, in many cases, the addresses of blacklisted content, and then we share our own. And I guess the attempt to address the problem can be scaled up if there are more partnerships. So those are some of and there are many more that I may not have mentioned, but effectively you're correct. There are people who are concerned about children who are working together like-minded as PLDT and Smart, and together we're trying to solve the problem in whatever little way we can.
Well, it's not little. We save one child, we save a life, and a vast network and operations such as PLDT that can't be little. But it's interesting. You raised a point, Melissa, earlier that it's not just a parent selling the child's images or video online because most people think, ay, grabe naman yung nanay na yan para lang mabayaran yung bisyo, magvi-video ng anak. We think it's a localized thing, but you're correct, it's international. But what about the local offender? How does PLDT track? Kasi alam ko may technology kayo. Nung may hinanap akong missing person na nakidnap, the telcos are able to triangulate. But in the case of these people who are using the platform for child abuse and pornography, how do you locate these people locally? Meron bang nagmo-monitor talaga ng mga online sellers ng video or
So parang I guess on many levels, 'di ba? Yung una, what we had to work on was policy. So the law
Mm.
actually in the beginning did not allow us to block content. So we had to work with the regulators to be able to put the law in place so that this could be enforced, 'di ba, against the perpetrators. Tapos meron tayong partnerships with the local law enforcement as well. So in the same way that I guess we are protecting against cybersecurity, meron din mga data privacy laws that we have to kind of work with or work around. But nonetheless, as you correctly pointed out, kapag meron kaming nakita, when we see something or someone that actually does trafficking, we are working with law enforcement to arrest those persons. So you kind of mentioned, you alluded to one thing, diba? It's the parents who actually peddle the kids. And the other thing that we have to contend with is something very cultural. Kapag nagsusumbong, unang-una, when the kids make sumbong or when they tell, first it's parang taboo to tell on your parents, diba? So
Mhm.
it's a sensitive topic to begin with. But when you actually bring that to the barangay, even the barangay itself sometimes feels that that's a family problem. We don't want to deal with that. So what we're hoping to do also is to capacitate some of the local government units, and there are some that are already asking for assistance to create ordinances that actually parang will enable kids to make sumbong, to tell on their parents, diba? So it's a very complex problem, but I guess, diba, minsan one barangay at a time, one step at a time, and we have to contend with some of our cultural sensitivities. But it's very sad when you see it, parang infants, diba? Parang you would have thought infants, what's the excitement about looking at an infant and whatever they do, diba? Parang,
Mhm.
but there are people who
Mhm.
find that worth money. And maybe to give you context about how many attempts there were in 2022, there were 1.2 billion or 1.6 billion attempts to access URLs that are dealing with child abuse or child sexual
So
materials.
in spite
1.6 billion.
in spite of PLDT and Smart blocking, taking down that source, the attempts to to connect and to buy the video material, to watch the video material continue. So parang sa kanila, try until they die.
Yes, at saka they come up with new sites and new URLs that you continue to block. And the way, one of the things that we're piloting is called the global chain of trust. But this problem, while it's pervasive in the Philippines, it's not solely in the Philippines alone. So you have to work with other countries, which are also, there are also sources of content there. And parang you share information. So it's like a dynamic database of information, whitelisting and blacklisting sites that are safe for the whitelist and then harmful for the blacklist. So parang exchanging information. So this is where the partnerships come in. No one person or no one entity can do this alone. And I think maybe in relation to current events, diba, what I liken PLDT, cybersecurity, so not only the ban of children, but even for the phishing and smishing, I liken it to the Israel Iron Dome. You
Mhm.
try to block as many malicious sites as you can. Maybe may makakalusot, some will actually come through, but to a large extent, we feel that we need to keep our customers safe. And there is that cybersecurity platform that's in place while everybody sleeps. And then at the end of the day, the other component na lang to that is the human factor, diba? We always say on one hand, we can put in the infrastructure to protect you, but also don't click on that link because it might be malicious, baka yun yung nakalusot. It might have been the one that got away. But it's a very complex problem that we are trying to solve and solve in relation or in partnership with other entities.
Well, 1.6 billion baka mo na
So
attempts.
yes,
Wow.
yes, and that
Anyway,
was only in 2022, diba? So, but then maybe some of the good things is that the attempts to date, medyo bumawas-bawas naman siya. Maybe some people, diba, don't
you know,
try anymore. Pero still and all, meron pa rin. And this is the supply side, right? We're on the supply side of the equation. What we need to also work with other countries is the demand side of the equation. So these are people in other countries who find our children of interest to them. Parang So you have to attack the problem several ways at several levels. And again, back to the partnership. We have to work
And I think you're not only talking about, babies or toddlers. You're also talking about young adults, because young adults fall under the category of children.
yes,
And I've
yes,
noticed that there are particular countries and people who like watching sexy videos of young adults, but this falls in. Now, what happens if a parent or someone notices, ba Paul to is there a hotline? Is there a number or a website that people can contact PLDT? And what are they supposed to tell you, or information they're supposed to provide, so that it can be blocked? Because I know there's so many parents struggling with the online pornography of their children, or their adult kids. But who and what do they do?
yeah. So on last Saturday, we actually launched, and kudos to the government, in partnership with our enterprise business, we launched the Makabata 1383 hotline, where people can report these things: abuse of children, whether it's sexual content, abusive material, or children by themselves in tough situations, right? So it's a hotline that we have launched, that people can call to be able to report this sort of thing.
What is the hotline again, Melissa?
Makabata 1383 helpline. So it's a helpline,
Makabata
1383.
1383.
Yes, so
So
it's effectively
God,
1383.
okay.
So that's where people can report. And sometimes parang you talk about parents who are reporting their kids. Minsan yung parent yung, ano, diba, yung, what we call it, the parent is the one that's facilitating the abuse, because
Mhm,
they figure, wala namang harm, di naman hinawakan yung anak ko, diba? Kinuhaan
mhm.
naman ng picture. They just took a picture of my kid. And for that, diba, parang wala namang no touch, diba? So I
Mhm.
think sometimes it's also the other relatives, the other people who live in the same household, who need to be able to be made aware that there is a hotline or helpline that you can call, and it will be treated very, I guess, carefully, delicately. So it's sometimes not the parents who need to report; it's the parents who need to be reported, diba? So, but anyway, there is that facility as well, that was just launched this Saturday, and I guess what we're trying to do is make that more known. We need to be able to publicize it. But the good thing is it's the government helping. It's a local government unit. It's PLDT and Smart. And the other interesting thing is there are more and more communities that are, I guess, enlightened. Yung mga local governments na ordinansa, they're working at it at the ordinance level. Kasi kung diba, wala namang batas, you have to go and file your case in court and all that. It's probably too much of a bother. But in this particular case, if it's a local ordinance and they make it easy for people to report at the barangay level, and there's protection for children and people who report, then parang the problem can be helped a little bit more.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the sort of thing that PLDT or yourself, or your team members can't show on TV. Yung
Yes.
look, what we accomplished, who we stopped, etc. Because there is a law prohibiting the presentation of young adults or children. And at the same time, people continue to be squeamish about the subject matter. I mean, pag nag-report ba sa'yo, skandalo, because some people say, huwag ka na mag-report, baka ma-skandalo pa yan eh.
Oo, actually ganyan yung attitude, 'di ba? The attitude nga is minsan you have to educate then you have to capacitate the authority na kung saan nag-report, kasi minsan yung what they say is problema ng pamilya yan, 'di ba? I-resolve nyo na
Mhm.
lang sa pamilya kasi nga sensitive. They probably don't know how to deal with it. So part
Or
of
they don't want to deal with it.
correct. So parang what we need to be able to do is to also capacitate the authorities that are going to help these families, paano nyo ba i-handle, di ba? Tapos magulang, sometimes it's the kid himself. Maybe he's thinking, what will I do if my parent goes to jail? Paano na ako? So it's a very, very complex problem. Unfortunately, it just basically stems out of poverty. So the bigger problem, while we're trying to address this at the blocking stage and regulation stage, at the end of the day, it's all about poverty. So I guess all of us, many of us, have to help that problem somehow. But if you discourage maybe or you disable the platform by which this is made possible, maybe that helps a little bit. I don't
Well,
think it will solve anything
I,
altogether, pero alisin yung platform, di ba? Kumbaga sa tindahan, isara
yeah.
yung tindahan, close the store so that you're not able to sell that merchandise. Obviously, they'll open it somewhere else, but you just continue to chase and close those stores effectively.
Okay, well, Melissa, thank you very much for sharing the corporate endeavors of PLDT and Smart. And you guys are on track there because I have been involved in all of this in the past with another group. And it matters. It matters when children are not abused, are not presented sexually online, and it reflects Filipino culture and the Filipino people. So bravo to PLDT, bravo to Smart, and thank you for your time. Please, we are here anytime when you need the platform, and we are ready to share. Thank you. God bless you, Melissa.
Thank you and God bless.